Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. And it's freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer. My name is Donald Patak. Contact information, standard YouTube copyright, and no, my content may not be used to train AI LLMs unless I am appropriately compensated. Keys to the reading, part one, because I do read astrology differently. Number one, I use constellation-based astrology, sometimes called true sidereal. This is astrology by the visible sky, because in ancient times, astrologers were also astronomers, so they read the planets where they were in the sky. Tropical astrology, which is the other type of astrology in the West, fixed the sky to the seasons back when Aries was at 0 degrees on the horizon, which is around 200 AD. So it's literally astrology as if you're living under the Roman era. I'm reading astrology as an ancient astrologer would read it. And in using the visible sky, between Scorpio and Sagittarius, there is another sign. No, it is not the 13th sign. It's actually the 9th. The sign is called a fucus, symbols of a person holding a snake by the head and the tail. In ancient times, a snake symbolized knowledge. So the mythos is that I have so far are Asclepius or a fucus were wounded, and the gods taught them how to heal themselves. And then ideally, they would take the knowledge that they used to heal themselves and help others and teach others how to heal themselves. So it's the symbol of the wounded healer. In using the visible sky, I'm also using the natural size of the constellations because they are all different sizes. Some astrologers are trying to cram each one into 30 degrees or spread them out. Virgo in all its glory is almost 50 degrees. Aries, Cancer, Libra, Scorpio, Fucus, individually, they're less than 25. The constellations are all different sizes. I honor and respect that. And instead of using IAU boundaries, which are arbitrarily drawn and can throw stars from one constellation into a completely different one, I use astrological midpoints. It's a system developed by Athan Shimenti. And basically, what he did was he looked at the zodiac belt. Was the last bright star of constellation A, first bright star of constellation B? What's the midpoint? And for the most part, it works very well. Keys to the reading, part two. I do interpret using evolutionary astrology, which says that your chart is a map of lessons to learn. And number two, you have freedom of choice. Yes, you are fated to face these transits, but you are able to decide how you're going to face them and what you're going to do. However, you do not control the outcome. So I do honor your freedom of choice. This is the weekly edition, so this is universal lessons for everyone. Date and time is based on the Eastern US time zone, as I am right outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm operating within 1 degree of exact, which makes the transit chart easier to read and much more manageable. Some weeks, if I used wider orb, the chart would be overwhelming. I'd be overwhelmed and you'd really be lost. So 1 degree does make it manageable for this reading. The software I'm using is Capricorn by Prometheus, and all interpretations are my own. I do not use AI. I write them all out by hand in my trusty notebooks, and then I give you my interpretation. I think AI is cheap. If you use AI, you're not learning anything new. I'm a school teacher during the school year. So my attitude is whoever does the work does the learning. So if you're not going to read the chart yourself and interpret it yourself, you're not learning how to be a good astrologer. Rant over. Okay, there we go. This is the weekly transit for the week of July 13th through 19th, and the kittens are acting up. We do have the sun in Gemini still. We are finishing that up and we'll soon be switching over, but currently we are in Gemini. The moon begins the week in Gemini and will end the week in Virgo. So it is actually a fairly steady week. We do have a long transit in Leo, and then that's followed right by Virgo, which means it's a fairly steady lunar week. We will have the new moon in Gemini on July 14th. That will be Tuesday morning while you're still sleeping, some of us, at 4:33 a.m. So there's that. Active planets this week, very different this week. It's Jupiter and Uranus. I consider Jupiter and Saturn kind of like the middle planets. So it's very interesting that we have Jupiter being the active planet of the week, followed by Uranus, one of the outer planets. The inner planets are kind of taking a break. No sign changes this week, and we do have a number of continuing long transits. Neptune and Pluto, Uranus and Neptune, and Uranus and Pluto, and Chiron and the South Node. And I was emailed about this and asked, Chiron, by the models that I'm using, Chiron will be aspecting the North Node shortly. So it's still with the South Node right now. I'm not going to go into a long explanation as to why, but yes, it will get there. And we do have 3 planets in our retrograde parade right now: Mercury, Neptune, and Pluto. And here's our chart for this week. Get my doodle tool going. Okay, we're going to start like I always do with the moon, and we have it right here. We do begin the week in Gemini, and later in the morning on Tuesday, well after the Gemini new moon, we will have the moon entering Cancer. So this will be a time of self-care. Wednesday in the afternoon, we will have the moon in Leo, and that'll be the long transit until Saturday morning, and then we will enter Virgo. Kind of interesting to have Virgo on the weekend. But that's our lunar transits. That's our lunar phase for the week. The moon is actually very stable and very steady. It's a little quick change in the beginning of the week, but then it's just stable and steadied out. Go ahead, crack your jokes about the Leo moon being stable. It is quite expressive. This dotted line, anything above it is older transits and everything below is newer. And you can see we do have 2 transits from last week ending out on Monday and Tuesday. So it's kind of like a completion of this. The beginning of the week is kind of like an ending, so to speak. We do have 2 Uranian transits still carrying on. So we do have those long transits going on. Yeah, one of our wonderful exact moments on Wednesday with the Uranus and Neptune, and Uranus and Pluto on Saturday morning. They'll be exact. I don't remember off the top of my head if that we're going to get a second hit there. But we do have these long transits going on. And you can see right here with our new transits, there we go with Jupiter. Jupiter with the outer planets. And Jupiter represents opportunity. So with Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. And then our only other transit is this Mars and Saturn. So really we have the beginning of the week is kind of a time of endings, sort of with a beginning with the new moon, our new lunar month. And then on starting Wednesday, we do have the newer transit. So you do get a little bit of a break Tuesday into Wednesday. That's your breather. Just kind of nice given what we're facing next week. But all in all, very few transits, but these Jupiter transits are going to take a little bit longer than our standard inner planets who blow through transits very quickly. This is setting us up for next week to have a lot of long transits and a lot of inner work, or a lot of work on ourselves. And if my voice is a little scratchy, I'm sorry. I came down with some sort of bug again. This weather is doing me no favors, and neither is the pollen. Okay, let's clear this up, clear all drawings, close this out. going to do this again. So I got to do it that way. And here we go. And again, my hand is still a little messed up. So I'm still doing the PTA and stuff, and I can actually bend the finger better, but I still don't have that top knuckle working. And if I use it too much, the index finger goes numb and it still works into the middle finger. So still don't have those individual slides done. But let's look at our old transits first. We'll get the long transits. We'll do the transits that are ending this week, and then we'll look at our new transits. So we're going to start with Neptune in Pisces with a sextile. Whoops. God. Neptune in Pisces with Pluto in Capricorn in a sextile. And a sextile is a time of excitement and interest. So Neptune retrograde is reflecting on your spirituality. Are you being present in the moment? Are you paying attention to what's really going on? And are you examining and reflecting on your own spirituality, your own spiritual practices? I'm not going to speak about religion, which is man's rules imposed on others. I'm talking about your own personal connection to the divine. This entire transit here is retrograde. So you're reflecting on your spirituality, and how is that creating an interest in the work of transformation and healing? Pluto is the planet of transformation, facing your own inner depths, DEPTHS, inner depths, and healing them and working through them. So, work on and be aware of how being spiritually present can create an interest of inner healing and the transformation of the soul. There's the shadow here. Neptune in Pisces is trying to numb the pain of living an empty and meaningless life, drifting around aimlessly, living in fantasy. Sextile, sense of nervousness. Pluto in Capricorn is just not doing the work of healing. In fact, it's wounding yourself more deeply, if not wounding others in similar ways. So as you're getting lost, spiritually lost, isolated, alone, and drifting, this is creating deeper wounding for yourself and helping you to slip into darkness and cynicism, leaving you feeling alone and isolated. We will continue with Uranus in Taurus in a sextile to Neptune. Excuse me. Uranus in Taurus, finding the peace and finding the strength and peace that comes from being an individual and your authentic self. And as you're coming to terms with that and you're finding that peace and stability and that strength, how is that creating an interest in your spirituality and the inner work of spirituality and your inner work of your connecting to the divine? And how is that helping you be more spiritually aware and spiritually present? And can lead actually to a sense of greater connection with your higher self. The shadow here is, instead of you being your authentic self, you're being someone that you're not. You're giving your individuality away, whether you're selling it out to fit into somebody else, you're selling it out to fit into somebody else's expectations, whether it's that pointless rebel who's doing something to push people's buttons, or you're behaving in a way, dressing, acting to fit other people's expectations. Think of the stereotypical lawyer and how they all dress. You mention a lawyer, they all pretty much dress the same. It's pretty sad. So when you're losing your individuality, this is just feeding this loss of self, this loss of your spirituality, or not being connected to your higher self or who you are, and you can feel alone and drifting and living in an illusion or a delusion. Whoops, didn't want that. And then last but not least, for those big three long transits, we have Uranus in a trine to Pluto. And again, Uranus in Capricorn, we said, was finding the peace and strength that comes from being your authentic self. And a trine is a support. It's an easy energy to work with. A little bit of effort goes a long way. So as you're coming to terms and being at peace with who you are at heart and finding the strength, how is that supporting your ability to reflect on the work of transformation, the work of changing, and the work of inner healing? Let's see. Yeah. The note I have here is being authentic and begin the work of change. So, how is being authentic helping to support inner transformation? The shadow here, again, out of laziness or just wanting to be that bull in a china shop to push people's buttons. How is that? And that's a slippery slope downhill. If a little bit of energy goes a long way, this creates a big mess fast. But the big mess that the shadow will create is a deeper inner wounding, sense of cynicism, sense of pessimism. And this will fuel emptiness, loneliness, and a sense of isolation. You're trying to fit into the world or fit into people's expectations, and no matter what you do, you're feeling alone and isolated, which is a deeply wounding experience. And where's my mouse? There we go. And our last long transit, here we have Chiron in the final degrees of Pisces. And a trine to the south node of Leo. And what's really happening here, because Chiron's transit is 50 years. So it's really the south node of the moon that is triggering this transit. So the south node of the moon in Leo. I'll start with that, and then we'll work on I'll address Chiron. So the south node of the moon in Leo, if the south node of the moon is doing its job correctly, if you're working with this energy correctly, you're becoming aware of how childish egocentricity and pointless drama, whether it's acting out as a drama king or drama queen or trying to hide away, because Leo can be that drama king or drama queen, or it can also be that dark star that tries to hide away and doesn't want to be seen. So if it's doing its job, it's helping you become aware of this pointless drama and how childish, immature, and egocentric it is. And in this trine, it is supporting Chiron, your ability to heal and heal on a spiritual level. And you're able to see these wounds and see these problems from a higher perspective, which is enabling you to heal and release them. So that's the ideal here. You're aware of pointless drama, the damage that it does. You understand it so that you can heal it, release it, and move on, and even serve as inspiration for other people to say, hey, they did that, I can do it too. The shadow here, you're reliving the drama of the past, holding on to it and clinging on to it like a security blanket, repeating and reenacting the drama king, drama queen, drama whatever stuff. I'm not sure how to work the third pronoun in here. Then again, I've heard up to people say there's up to 8 pronouns. I don't even know anymore. But it's that pointless, childish, egocentric drama and rehashing and reliving the problems of the past in the trine. This is fueling not a healing, but a deeper wounding of the self and deeper wounding of others. And you're living, and this is all living in an idle fantasy and trying to numb the pain any way you can. And what else I have right here is hurt people hurt people. Reliving the wounds of the past out on the public stage and wounding others people. Misery loves company. That's the shadow there. And let's clear that out. Ending this week, I'm going to use this, even though Mercury is the faster mover than the sun. The sun is moving past Mercury. So I'm going to use the sun as the fast mover here. The sun is transiting Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde in Gemini, you're reflecting on your learning and you're communicating. And what are you learning, communicating about? The sun, who you are. You're reflecting about what you're learning about yourself and how are you sharing it with the world. Are you paying attention to the world around you and how you're interacting with it? And how is this leading to a breakthrough of understanding about yourself? The shadow here, Mercury gets lost in its own mind as a distraction because it can be the know-it-all. Mercury can think it knows everything. You can't teach it anything new. Or it can be the I can't learn anything, so don't bother trying. And the sun, the shadow of the sun is the false ego. The sun working healthy is learning how to have a good, healthy ego. And you need a good, healthy ego to interact in this world. In the shadow, it's the false ego. And it's the false ego feeding off of that know-it-all attitude or it can't learn it all attitude. And it's defining yourself by narrow and rigid expectations and ideas of the past. And that's leading you nowhere fast. There we go. Actually, I can leave this up. The other one is Venus in Leo in a square to Uranus in Taurus. Venus in Leo, Venus, let's remember, that's about relationships. It's also about creativity. And in Leo, you want to be seen. So this is the opportunity to get up, go out, stand out, be seen, make new friendships, make new connections with others. Put your best face forward, do it. Or sharing your artistic abilities and talents with others. And a square is a challenge whose purpose is to strengthen you. You know, if you go to the gym and you're only ever picking up 2.5 pound weights or whatever, only thing you're ever going to do is tone yourself. If you want to build muscle, you have to face challenges. You have to pick up heavier weights, run for a longer time, whatever. So the square here is a challenge. And what's the challenge? It's helping you to become more authentic, reveal who you really are, and find the peace and strength that comes from being your authentic self. So as you're stepping out and sharing yourself with the world, you're becoming more at peace. If you're doing this right, you're challenging and strengthening your authentic self to be seen, strengthening that and finding the peace that comes with that. And even, I would say, with Taurus, Taurus is being natural and at ease. You're becoming more at ease with that authentic self and sharing it with the world. And people may even appreciate and enjoy that person. I'll explain when I'm done with this. The shadow here, Venus can be slick, manipulative, and lazy. So when it comes to relationships, it's shallow, superficial, even with creativity. Instead of developing your own artistic style, all you do is copy someone else's. And when I say art, I do mean like the physical mediums, but also music. And in Leo, it's playing up the childish drama of the past. And it's, you know, slick and manipulative, childish ego trying to control people. If you're not cool unless you like what I like. Oh, you like that? You're not a cool person. It's those childish playground games, elementary, middle, high school, pointless drama. And the shadow here is a crushing burden. It's a stumbling block that leads to a crushing burden. And Uranus and Taurus, what's getting crushed? Your individuality. You're selling out or giving up into the expectations of others. You haven't grown, hasn't changed, hasn't done anything. It's the lazy way out. And I dare say you'd be acting out like a bull in a china shop with that childish drama. Whether it's trying to be the drama king or drama queen, or you're trying to hide away, don't make me come out and do things I don't want to. Still childish drama. You're looking for the lazy, easy way out, and it doesn't work. It's a crushing burden, and it crushes your individual and authentic self. Nobody gets to see that. Nobody gets to know that. And in the end, you feel isolated and alone. And I'll close this out and then we'll start with the moon. And last but not least, we have the moon in Gemini. Emotionally, you're opening up to new information and ideas. I dare say you're learning emotional intelligence. And how can that help you grow and be prepared to open up to new ideas and new information that can help you learn how to share what you're feeling and how you're feeling? The shadow here is that emotional, moody person that will just talk your ears off or won't share a single thing. Mittens, what's up? My cats found a new box to climb into and they're playing with it. So the moon in Gemini can be that person who just endlessly talks about their feelings and ignores everybody else. That's the shadow, or it's that person who won't share how they're feeling. Let's clear that out. And close this out. Monday, no new transits. We begin Monday morning with the new moon. Yeah, there we go. Close enough for government work. We do begin with the new moon in Gemini. I'm going to circle Mercury here. It's outside of the 1 degree, but I do want to talk a little bit about that. That's on Tuesday morning at 4:33 in the morning. We do have the new lunar month, and it's the moon conjuncting the sun. And this is in Gemini, so the focus is on learning about your emotional self, learning the egotism, the ego, the healthy ego, learning how to express itself emotionally. And in Gemini, it's learning how to do that. It's learning how to express itself. It's learning how to share its feelings, etc. And what do I have here? Focus on learning who you are at heart and the way you feel about yourself. Pay attention to what you think and feel about yourself and how you can change it to become how you can change that to help you express it in a more accurate manner. And pay attention to the world around you as it can serve as a mirror for you. So you becoming more aware of the world around you can help you clarify what you're thinking and what you're feeling about yourself. This is just outside of that 1 degree orb of Mercury retrograde. But you're still going to feel, and I just want to talk about this because it was in an email to me actually, and I did see this in a few blogs as well, so I do want to share it. With Mercury retrograde, you're reflecting on your communication with others. What are you learning about yourself? How are you learning to share this with others and reflecting on the way you're communicating? And I think that's the important lesson with that is how you are learning to communicate what you're feeling about yourself. Now, the shadow here, it's the false ego being moody. I don't think there's another way to say that. But being careful about and not paying attention and getting lost in idle thoughts and feelings that have you in nonstop conversations that endlessly repeat stories about the past and have you going nowhere fast. And these nonstop conversations can be public with others where you're droning on and they can't wait for you to shut up, or it can be that endless story going on in your mind. And that's fueled with that Mercury retrograde because you're just reliving the stories of the past. Clear. And I'm going to go to the end of the day, Tuesday here, which does get us the moon in Cancer. Moon in Cancer is taking time to rest and receive emotional healing from those who can help you. This is a time of emotional rest, emotional restoration. Can be a little busy, feeling a little busy, a little overwhelmed. Take time to pull back. Take and rest and relax. That's really the message here. This starts Tuesday afternoon. The shadow here is becoming emotionally defensive, feeling sorry for yourself and whining about everything. And this can fuel feelings of loneliness and isolation. And here we go, Wednesday. Oops. There we go. And here we're going to start with these wonderful Jupiter transits. There we go. And here we have Jupiter in Cancer. In a trine to Neptune. Jupiter, and I'm going to just cover Jupiter in Cancer and then add in the different transits that we have here. Jupiter in Cancer is taking the opportunity for self-care, learning to nurture and heal yourself so you can become the bigger, better, brighter version of yourself. So it's taking the opportunity to learn, to nurture yourself so that you can become more self-confident. And this is in a trine to Saturn. So how is that supporting your spiritual work and your inner spiritual life? So as you're taking the opportunity to rest and calm down, how is this helping you to connect on a spiritual level, perhaps to your higher self or to other spiritual entities, whatever your spiritual practices are? Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. The shadow here, Jupiter, the shadow of Jupiter is a crisis in confidence, and that's either over or underconfident. And in Cancer, it can become defensive. Either which way, it can become defensive, sniping. And if it's underconfident, it can try to be hiding away from people and hiding away from the world. This leads a slippery slope downhill into idle fantasies. This loss of confidence leaves you, whether it's over or underconfident, has you slipping into these idle fantasies that leaves you living in an illusion, lost and drifting aimlessly. That's the first Jupiter transit. Our second one has the sextile, has the sextile to Uranus. So that, developing the confidence to rest, that confidence to rest and calm down and nurture yourself, that creates an interest in your becoming your authentic self and finding the peace and strength that comes from being your authentic self. So you're finding that opportunity for rest helps you to realize your core identity and the peace and strength that comes from that. In the shadow, that crisis of confidence that fuels defensiveness and the inappropriate responses thereof leads to a sense of nervousness that fuels the loss of identity. You're fitting into somebody else, you're selling out to somebody else's expectations, whether you're acting out as that pointless rebel and being the bull in the china shop, or you're selling out to whatever it is whatever cog in the machine they want you to be. And the lazy response that comes from that. And late in the day on Wednesday, we do have the moon entering Leo. So emotionally, you're learning to share what you're feeling, the why, the how. You're learning to express yourself emotionally and be seen. And learning to express yourself appropriately can help other people appreciate you. So you're learning to share what you're feeling here. The shadow here is playing out that drama, king, queen, whatever. But playing out that false egocentric drama instead of having people understand you, it pushes them away and they see you as childish and immature. Close that out. Just going to move this over. There we go. No. And there we go. I can't wait for my finger to get totally healed and I can do my doodles again. it works so much. It's more work, but it flows so much better. So we do have that Jupiter in Cancer, that opportunity to rest and relax. This provides an opportunity for reflection because Jupiter is in opposition. This is a time of reflection, a time of balancing. And what are you reflecting on? I think reflection is the stronger lesson here. Actually, both of them work now that I think about it again. Pluto in Capricorn retrograde, reflecting on the work of inner healing, the inner transformation of those deep soul wounds. I like to, yeah. So as you're taking that opportunity, you're building the confidence and the confidence to rest and relax and calm down. This provides you the opportunity to reflect on your healing, on that healing journey, and healing those deep soul wounds and being able to do and working through them successfully. The shadow here is that crisis of confidence with the inappropriate responses of sniping or trying to hide away. And this creates a power struggle or an imbalance. So as you're being defensive, you have that crisis of confidence and being defensive about it. The struggle here, or what gets thrown out of balance, is those inner wounds, and it's like you're refueling those inner wounds, and this is fueling cynicism, pessimism, and in Capricorn, that's adding to more isolation and more loneliness and a desire to pull away and hide away. Clear that out. Close. Okay, I'm going to pull that far into Saturday. No new transits on Friday. So on Saturday, we do have Mars in Taurus in a square. Whoops. I really butchered. No, it's a sextile. I'm sorry. This is a sextile. In a sextile to Saturn in Pisces. So Mars, having the courage to rest, having the courage to calm down, be that strong silent type. Having the courage to do that, create an interest in Saturn and Pisces, spiritual growth, spiritual maturity. And I think that says it all. That's a very sweet, simple, and to the point, and it works. The shadow here, Mars in Taurus, the shadow of Mars is fear that can come across as explosive anger, whether it's inner or outer, but it's anger, or it comes out as cowardice. Cowardice can be hide away, and believe me, cowards can be very vocal as well. And in Taurus, just being lazy, or it's that a bull in a china shop. And that sextile is a sense of nervousness, and Saturn in Pisces is fueling false fears, pessimism, but it is very strong fears, but these fears are illusions. What else did I have here? That living in fantasies, and this fuels pessimism, self-pity, and even control issues. So this explosive anger is you trying to control people that you can't, or control situations that you can't. And it's all a fantasy and an illusion that you can't do any, that you can't even do any of that. And also on Saturday, we have the moon entering the Virgo for its long transit, almost 50 degrees. Here, the lesson is working on upgrading your emotional skills, especially in self-awareness, and look to accepting responsibility when it arises. So you're facing the facts, hey, there's places where you need to grow and develop, and you're ready to roll up your sleeves, learn what you need to learn to do it, and accepting the responsibility. For me, there are two GSD signs, get stuff done. Virgo is one, Capricorn's the other. Virgo's great at, for me, at doing the planning. It's seeing the work that needs to be done, and it's coming up with a plan to get it done. And Capricorn, which is my other great GSD sign, is actually rolling up the sleeves and doing the work. But here you're becoming aware of what needs to be done, and you're doing that work of planning things out, figuring things out, knowing what you need to do so that you can have that healthy experience of healing and growing and accepting responsibility. The shadow, here emotionally, you're descending into perfectionism. You're focusing on this unachievable ideal. And this can fuel feelings of being overwhelmed and worry. And the other side effect of perfectionism is it can be a control freak, but the other side of that perfectionism is that it's such an ideal that can't ever be achieved. So why bother trying? So in one sense, it becomes a control freak, or the other sense, it can be just giving up and not doing anything at all. Why bother trying? And that is the end, and that is where we wind up for the week. And let me minimize this, go back to here. So thank you very much for watching this. Again, I apologize for my voice. It's the hay fever and stuff outside, whatever, but I'm having a reaction to something. Do follow me on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. I do what I call the daily deep dives. You can find it on there and also on my blog. Watching this on YouTube. These two are making lots of money off your data, and I'm happy to share the news. The Digital Soul Space is ending its subscription and going to a donation model. It's free for everyone. Go in, and just a few times a year, they're going to run one of those PBS things where, hey, make a donation to help support the site and pay for the software, pay for the hosting. They found a way to do it that allows them to do a free, to do the site for free. It's an awesome place to go. I call it the spiritual safe space of the internet. I mean, everybody's experienced bullying on these three sites and other social media sites. Digital Soul Space has 4 great monitors that will nip it in the bud before it even gets a chance to get started. And there's many, many different spaces on there. I do astrology as other people, but there's also crystals, tarot, oracle decks, mediumship, a wide variety of incredible spiritual practices. It's just an incredible place to go and hang out and learn about any and all things spiritual. You got a question, ask. Somebody's going to give you an answer. It's just a great thing to do. A great place to hang out. And like I say, it is now free. Go there, sign up, build your profile, jump on in, and have some fun. And I do readings in packages. If you want to see how your chart changes from tropical astrology to true sky sidereal astrology, order the quick six quick points off your chart that gives you a solid foundation to understand your chart with the visible sky. If you want to know what your birth contract is, why am I here? You're in evolutionary astrology. Your birth chart is your birth contract. It's not who you are. It's who you came here to become. It's your end all goal. So you can look at it and say, oh, that's why I'm facing these lessons. They're designed to help me learn these lessons or learn to become a better whatever. If you want to know why certain things keep happening to you, karmic chart or past life reading. This is based off the nodes of the moon. Certain things keep happening to you for a reason. It's a pattern, and 2 to 1 says it's out of the nodes of the moon. And whether it's a one and done or you believe in past lives, it's a karmic wound that you came here to understand so that you can heal it and release it. And I also do horoscopes. any year, 12 months in a row, any 3 months in a row, or with the 1 month, any new moon to new moon, or first of the month, last of the month, or any 30-ish days in a row. I do packages which combine these readings in different ways, and I'm off for the summer, so I do have summer hours available from now through August 28th, 2026. I'm available Tuesday through Friday from 1 in the afternoon to 5 in the evening, in addition to my evening hours, 7 to 10 o'clock. If that doesn't fit you and you need me to be earlier, shoot me an email. We'll work it out. Thank you very much for watching this. I hope you found this insightful and helpful. Do like, follow, and share. Sign up for the newsletter on my website. All I need is an email address, and you get a newsletter with all this information, plus a few additional insights, all for free. And you want a discount on the readings, it's the only place I give them. So do like, follow, share, sign up for the newsletter, and remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. Thank you very much. Have the best week possible.